Another week, boys, and another TWAB. This one, we've got some Sandbox changes, guys. And yes, some of those things that have been sticking out for so long are finally about to get hammered down. Bungie states right here that this week at Bungie, a celebration is coming to a close. We're entering the final stretch of Festival of the Lost. Eva Levante has been dishing out treats for weeks, but she's got a final trick up her sleeve. We won't spoil the fun though. That's for you to discover on your own. If you haven't collected all of your masks or completed your triumphs, you have until reset on Tuesday, November 19th to fill out your collection. Momentum Control will be available through the end of the event, so if you're looking to round out your Jade Rabbit Catalyst, get to it. Momentum will be on rotation again in the future, so stay tuned for announcements. Now, no lie, I wasn't that big of a fan of Momentum Control. It just got a little out of hand, man. Everybody was playing invisible with Jade Rabbits in the back of the map. It just wasn't fun. But if you happen to have pinnacles that you're grinding for, Momentum Control is actually an excellent place to take care of that. Now, moving on to the main piece of today's TWAB, which is right here, seeking balance. Bungie states over the last year, we've made various changes to the sandbox of Destiny 2. Some weapons have been brought down, some armor has been brought up, and the meta has shifted from class to class. Come next season, the sandbox will evolve once more. This week, we'll be looking at two notorious items that you may have heard about. So from the development team here, we have the Recluse. Change the effects of Master of Arms. They're going to be removing the precision damage modifier, and it states underneath it here that Recluse will continue to receive a damage bonus from Master of Arms, but damage will not default to precision damage values when the perk activates. Many doubted the Recluse when it was first announced, but has since proved to be resilient to being squashed. Although the precision damage modifier did not actually improve the efficacy of the weapon at its best, it did allow for fairly mindless spraying to be just as good as concentrated aiming. After considering various options on what to do with it, the decision was made to remove that part of the functionality and preserve its activation methods. The alternative was leaving in effect we believe to be too strong for a legendary weapon. So this was the options we were looking at with Recluse. Many of us said that Recluse would have been balanced if it did not proc from other weapon kills, like if it can only proc from itself, similar to something like Rampage or Kill Clip or pretty much any of our other perks. They decided not to go that route, but it appears that they're actually going to be keeping Master of Arms essentially the same. They're just going to be changing the damage values here. Now, notice that they say that Recluse will continue to receive a damage bonus from Master of Arms, but the damage will not default to precision values when the perk activates. So currently right now, the body shot damage matches the crit damage when Master of Arms is activated. That's why you have a 0.47 TTK value, both optimal and body, but also allow for Recluse to be spamtastic inside of Crucible, which really got out of hand here. I think the question here is at what scale is this thing going to be nerfed? The fact that they say here that they removed the precision damage modifier, I don't know off the top of my head what the precision damage modifier is for SMGs, especially lightweight SMGs, but again, that's questionable as well. Surely the weapon is still going to be able to hit crit damage, the appropriate amount of crit damage, which is 19 per crit inside of Crucible, not counting Master of Arms. I think the main issue we had with Recluse was that the weapon was so good in the hands of people that did not have to be accurate. So the point is we were okay with the TTK values of 0.47 seconds. We just wanted it to self-proc and require crits. I don't know, these sandbox details or these patch note preview details are a little confusing to me here, because I just don't want to believe they just went in there and removed the precision damage modifier. The second one where they actually talked about it not proccing precision damage on body shot damage, that's completely understandable. I'm understanding where they're coming from there. So obviously it's going to be a drop there in damage with Master of Arms, but it almost looks like it's going to be like a double whammy in a way, where the weapon could be nerfed on the front end before Master of Arms even procs, and then nerfed on the tail end even when Master of Arms is proc. I mean, it just seems like a double whammy. But again, Recluse is like the Houdini weapon when it comes to patch notes. It avoids everything. Whatever subtle changes Bungie ever includes that's supposed to hurt Recluse at all, it has avoided it. So we could be looking next Tuesday at essentially the same SMG with nothing happening to this thing, despite what's being said in the patch notes. Really, guys, it's just going to require us to go in there, pick it up, try it out to see if it's being hurt both on the front end and the tail end of Master of Arms here. Now, moving on to the next thing that I know many people are probably going to put on their calendar as a day of celebration for years to come. OneEyed Mask is finally getting nerfed. They changed the effects of Vengeance. Essentially, guys, they removed the overshield granted from defeating an opponent that inflicted damage on you. Bungie states right here that in a previous Sandbox update, OneEyed Mask received some tuning in how Vengeance was applied to Titans. Next season, this perk will continue to provide health regeneration when defeating an opponent that has inflicted damage upon your Guardian, but it will no longer grant an overshield. Alright, so I guess these sandbox changes, guys, I may have misspoke a second ago. Are they not coming next Tuesday? Maybe coming after the season's done with. At least we know with OneEyed Mask, it's not coming until the next season, which we have 27 days left of. Okay, so when we were actually at Bungie in September, we talked about OneEyed Mask. That was a big topic, and it's also kind of a difficult one to tune. OneEyed Mask actually provides the perk Vengeance, which allows you to mark your enemy that dares to damage you, track them down, and destroy your enemy for increased damage and overshield. It's specifically annoying with certain weapons, like Mountaintop Recluse combo with OneEyed Mask is extremely annoying to go up against, as there really just no downside to it. Granted, you got to play aggressively, but then on the other side of things, in 1v1 scenarios, that marking and that tracking lasts for so long. I want to say it's like 10 seconds. Maybe a little more. I'm spitballing here, guys. I don't really use OneEyed Mask too much, but it does track you for a very long time. Longer than anything like Foe Tracer, and on top of that, if you get the kill, you get the health regeneration and the overshield. During our conversations, it sounded like if they were to go in there and slash the tracking, it was just gonna mess with the Vengeance perk overall. Now you're gonna still get recovery upon kills, but you won't get an overshield. Okay, here's the reality, guys. I know so many people want to see OneEyed Mask put in the grave to never be revived again. The weapon does still require you to win your duels. It does provide tracking, and I would have actually liked to seen the tracking dropped in half. Now, of course, the conversation brought up about Vengeance alluded to the fact that maybe the tracking going from target to target, say you started having Vengeance proc, it marks the target, and then 5 seconds later or 3 seconds later, it drops off and then attaches to another target. There seem to be some issues with that. And I'm thinking that there's some issues with getting it to actually proc health regeneration on kills with the tracking going from target to target too quickly. At least that's what I understood from the Sandbox team. Again, there's room for misinterpretation. I could have just missed it completely, but it sounded like a very complicated exotic to balance around. So I guess the easiest solution was just to get rid of the overshield. Now, the overshield, it kind of worked in two ways. Number one, you obviously have more health. You got a guy that pushes into your group. He gets a mountaintop kill off. He procs something like Recluse with Master of Arms. He then goes to Shred Town, and he's got an overshield on top of it. It's some scary business. But I also think the overshield plays a very psychological role for both the user and the person going against the user using OneEyed Mask. I see a guy coming at me with an overshield. It could be half of an overshield, but he still looks scary as hell. On top of that, he feels invincible because any damage that you're doing to him, the entire time the health regeneration that is being propped by OneEyed Mask is regenerating the health back underneath that overshield. With this change, removing the overshield will mean that if I'm in the middle of a gunfight with the guy and he happens to get a kill off on my friend, he's not immediately going to be jumped up 100 health or more. Instead, if I'm doing sustained damage to him, I will stop his health regeneration and then proceed to kill him. Long story short, weapons like Thorn, explosive round weapons, those kind of things are going to prove itself even more valuable against OneEyed Mask users. Again, you place a Thorn shot on a OneEyed Mask user, that damage over time is going to keep that health regeneration from proccing. So even if he does get a kill on your friend, he's still not going to get that health regeneration going. Regardless, it's going to require us to test it out, and I know so many people just want to see this exotic die. Believe me, as a Titan main, it's been tough making Titan builds, as pretty much so many builds fall short of just using OneEyed Mask. Like, there's a lot of nasty builds on the Titan class, but quite frankly, if you really just wanted to win most of your 1v1s, just use OneEyed. I think you're still gonna have great benefits from the tracking. It's still gonna give you an edge in 1v1 scenarios, but it won't make you a raid boss every time you get a kill. But let's be real here. Bungie, if you want to get rid of OneEyed Mask users, just bring back Twilight Garrison. We've already brought this discussion up. You bring back Twilight, OneEyed Mask usage will plummet overnight. I'm just saying, solution has been given. Now, moving on. Xenophage is getting an increase in PvE damage by 50%. Thank God. It needed it. It actually wasn't that bad. I think it confused a lot of us because we thought it was supposed to do crit damage. It doesn't. That's okay. Regardless, though, it needed a damage bump, and it's getting it. It's also going to be getting an ammo bump inside of PvP from 4 to 6 inside of shared and 3 to 4 inside of solo. Okay, I think I read that correctly. So it's 6 shots from shared crates, 4 shots from solo crates. I didn't even know we got 4 shots from shared right now. I thought we only got 3. Maybe I looked at that wrong. Regardless, though, So 3 was kind of annoying simply because you can only kill like a guardian and a half. Now you actually be able to kill 3 guardians from shared crates and 2 guardians from solo crates. Obviously, there's other better exotic weapons inside of Crucible, but the benefits of Xenophage is unlimited range, so you'll be able to snipe people with this LMG. Bungie does state here at the bottom though that Xenophage unintentionally shipped a little weak, so it's getting a bump up in raw damage. Machine guns have a higher ammunition capacity than other heavy weapons, trading raw DPS for ease of use. Xenophage slides further towards other heavy weapons such as grenade launchers in that aspect, but didn't get enough power back. This will correct that. In the next few weeks, we'll have further Sandbox patch note previews paired with some quality of life changes to things like escalation protocol armor, bug fixes, and more. Alright guys, that is pretty much the TWAB today. I think we're currently sitting at like 20 something days left of the season. Normally Bungie kind of like throws out these different Sandbox patch notes as like patch previews leading up into like the final week, and either the Sandbox itself will ship with the new season or the week before. So be looking out for some major balancing being announced in the weeks to come, and we'll be covering all of these things as soon as they go live. Now, some final things here. We have some Destiny 2 known issues, and I normally don't go over this, but I'm actually in the process of completing Jotun. The complete 10 legendary frame steps for Jotun and MONARQUE exotic quests is currently only counting curated weapon drops from Black Armory Forges. Alright, so if you're in the process of trying to do that, like myself, might want to wait for this to be fixed. Now, DMG did include one last note here at the bottom. He states, as a wrap, folks, I'm still in the min from a 30-minute solo dungeon attempt, but I may try again this weekend. Next week, we're looking forward to launch of Destiny 2 on Stadia. If you'll be experiencing your first revive in the cold waste of the Cosmodrome, we look forward to giving you a warm welcome. We're kind of notorious for that as a community. If you're a Guardian who will be extending your journey to this new platform, don't forget to get linked up using cross-save as you activate your account. What bread are you currently chasing for Season of the Undying? A new title, some last-minute festival mass, sound off. Cheers, DMG. Alright, so I'm actually going to be on Stadia next week, guys. We're going to be reviewing the platform specifically for Destiny. I want to know if I can go to my bathroom, point at a TV that I have sitting on my toilet, and continue playing Destiny. I want to know if everywhere in my house I can just point to any screen and suddenly I see my Titan with this Twilight Garrison on. No lie, Stadia almost sounds too good to be true. It sounds freaking amazing, but it's all in theory at this point. I have not used it at all, nor have I played with it, but we're going to be reviewing it next week, as well as how Destiny performed, and considering we've played pretty much on all platforms, Xbox, PlayStation, and PC at this point, I feel like we can make some pretty decent comparisons. So be looking out for that review, guys. Fellas and ladies, thank you all for coming and watching, and as always,
slap that like button like your mama told you right.